Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time, a Wave original. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We're going to talk about a bizarre holiday weekend of NFL football. In theory, we should be talking about rivalry week, the whole totality of the rivalry week. But honestly, there wasn't that much interesting that happened factual with the rivalry games. Texas A&M, historical 8-win program. It's impossible for them to be an 8-win program this year, but it can feel like 8 wins. And losing to Texas again.
Losing to Texas on a quarterback draw by a White feels like an 8-win.
Yeah, man. And you just can't understand, Ryan. The entire existence and self-esteem of those people is centered around their relationship and their orbit to the University of Texas, right? Like, you go listen to their fight song, that's just all it's about. It was so funny when they lost last year. Didn't they get their asses kicked last year, too?
Yeah, it wasn't close.
Yeah, where it was, they've been waiting on that game for 13 years since Case McFucking-Coy walked them down to send them out of the Big 12 forever. And they got the first reinstallment of the Texas A&M game at the crib, and they got blasted. Like, Sark gave it to Elko. Oh my God, it's so funny. I don't care what happens to Texas anymore when it comes to football, but who you out? Okay, I understand that that's going to be difficult for some of you people, and I prefer to Joel Anderson when I say that. But at the same time, just Aggie misery, here for it. There was also a hilarious moment where Auburn, Alabama went late. It was a little closer than it was supposed to be. Alabama scored a late touchdown, and they showed a clip of Kalen DeBoer, and that exhale that he gave is every point I've been trying to make to you about that Alabama job. He was like, great, now I don't have to buy myself a new windshield because somebody going to throw a brick through it. But no, guys. Everything in this weekend was about Lane Kiffin. And trying to be careful about certain things, right? So, for example, this thing happened after the Ole Miss people, there's a lot going on there. And there's a very crude expression that you may have heard before that says that you can't turn a hoe into a housewife. That's what people say often. Some dude that covers Ole Miss, he was doing a podcast, and he used that analogy to refer to Lane Kiffin, was saying that you can't turn a hoe into a housewife, which in the analogy made Lane Kiffin the hoe. And you can get as technical and equivocate on this as much as you want and say, he didn't call Lane Kiffin a hoe. He said that Lane Kiffin exhibited the qualities of hoes. And that's the kind of thing you say when somebody else get called a hoe, right? But if somebody factual calls you a hoe, you're not trying to hear all of this. No. It was in a matter of speaking. That's not going to happen. So anyway, Lane Kiffin saw the dude after the Egg Bowl, and he rolled up on him and said, you want to call me a hoe, step in the back, and we'll see how that goes, right? I'm Team Lane on this one. I don't feel like I have the right to tell people that they just got to get over somebody calling them a hoe. Right? I don't feel like I'm allowed to do that. Now, in a more egregious example, you may recall when Taylor Swift did, not Taylor Swift, Kanye West did Famous on the Pablo album. And he said, talking about Taylor Swift, and he had the line in there, and I quote, I made that bitch famous. And a lot of people were acting like, oh, she was tripping by being upset with it. But I'm like, I don't think I get to tell Taylor Swift how she responds to being called a bitch. You understand what I mean? Like, I just don't feel like I have the right to do that. What happened with Lane Kiffin and that dude is not quite as extreme, shall we say, as that particular case, right? But it's still the same point. Somebody call you a hoe, you get to at least get up in their face. And when he got up in Buddy's face, Buddy looked like he was about to boo-boo on himself, and then got on Twitter talking tough. And I'm like, come on, man. What you have done is put me in an impossible position. And the position is that I have to defend Lane Kiffin. And I don't like having to do that. But the other problem that we have from this is all the ways that I want to refer to the ways that Lane Kiffin has behaved in the course of the last couple weeks. It all involves me referring to him in ways that were I Lane Kiffin, I would pull up on me and I would then say, hey, You say that back there, and then we go talk about it. Cause like Ryan, I try not to throw it around. Like, so Cloud is where
Cloud's
I
fair
am
game.
on this. Is Cloud fair game?
Cloud's fair game.
Like for me to actually say somebody is a clown, like
yes.
for me, that is going to a place where I feel like if you call me a full-on clown, yo, who the fuck are you talking about right now? Like, I think I've established myself in such a way that being called a clown is a very egregious thing for you to do. And therefore, I feel like in a lot of ways, I should extend that grace and courtesy to somebody else. But I don't feel like Lane Kiffin has put in the work to be a dignified person in the way that I have. Therefore, perhaps I don't need to be so shy about calling this motherfucker a clown. I also realize that while I'm fretting over clown, I just called him a motherfucker. I get all of that, right? Like I don't, like, none of the words that I know apply to somebody who does the things that he does. All of them feel beneath me. And we all know the real problem. If you fight Lane Kiffin, he's going to call the cops. Right? Like, Ryan, I told you about when I ran up on that one dude during the Super Bowl.
Right.
And I'm just like, I know he'll call the cops, so I know he'll sue. Right? Like, that's that, like, but this guy, this guy, hold on, not this guy, Ryan, your guy.
My guy.
LSU's new head coach.
LSU's new head coach, Lane Kiffin.
LSU's new head coach, Lane Kiffin. Okay. Let me take a break from all the clown stuff, right? I need to gather myself. I need to get to this other stuff while I can, because none of that was exaggerated, by the way. Like, I couldn't figure out how.
I sent you the tweet, and this is at minimum the third most drama that Lane has had leaving somewhere.
Yes, there was when he got fired on the tarmac. And, hold on. He got fired on the sideline. They told him on the tarmac.
Right.
And his number two, the Kiffin riots of 2010.
Correct.
When
it was burned down Knoxville.
Yes, when he left Tennessee in the middle of the night, it never dawned on them that this would. Also, what is forgotten in that story is how wild it is that the NCAA was about to bring the hammer to them.
Yes.
The hammer. And Mike Garrett hired Lane Kiffin anyway.
Right.
That was
after he got fired in disgrace in Oakland.
Yes.
And Al Davis said what he said about him.
But look, you're about to get the hammer brought down to you on from the NCAA for the behavior of this regime, and you double down on it by hiring Lane. That was a wild move. Okay. But anyway, yes.
2010 was a different time for a lot of reasons.
Yes. So yes, this is number 3, and this. Okay, so the difference between this, well, I mean, don't forget the exit from the Raiders may have actually been messier because it made Al Davis break out that overhead projector and offer prophetic language about how it is that this guy will bring disgrace and dishonor. Because remember, when Tennessee hired him, he wrote a letter to Tennessee to tell them that Lane Kiffin would bring disgrace and dishonor upon their program. And he was right. 1 year later,
13 months,
that exact thing. Like, this one's different though, right? Because this one got into a very, I don't know if strange place is the right way to put it, but it's the fact that Ole Miss is 11-1 and they're probably going to the college football playoff. And that leads to a very, very difficult decision for somebody like Lane Kiffin. Because look, he reasonably understands there's no way that he could come back and coach that team. Like, that wasn't on the board. I talked about this in a previous show. It's one thing when it's Urban Meyer and he's at Utah and he's about to go to Florida. LSU's head coach can't be in Ole Miss's building, right? And you know how not only is Lane messy, Lane is a habitual line stepper. He gonna be calling recruits from the office phone. Like, he can't be using y'all's internet to look up that stuff.
And recruiting everyone on his team potentially.
Yes. Like this This was a non-starter. It never could be a thing. And so the reports are that Lane goes to the Ole Miss people and says, hey, if I don't get to stay and coach this team into the playoff, then I'm going to take all of the assistants and all of the players. Well, what the fuck was your other plan, Lane? What are you telling me? That otherwise you weren't going to try to do these things? What are you talking about? That was going to be what you tried no matter what. So the reporting indicates that Lane was trying to get his staff, get his guys, right? Get as many of them to come with him to Ole Miss. Brett McMurphy of On 3 got a quote from somebody that said, leave it to Lane Kiffin to try to burn a bridge while he's standing on it. Okay? But he wanted to go to LSU, and he also wanted to coach this team in the playoff and tried to basically extort the ability to stay and coach this team because he said that if he left, he would just take all the players. And no, that didn't work. Then we got a report, and this one's a little shaky, but that the report is that Lane Kiffin told the offensive coaches that either you come with me on this plane to Baton Rouge or there ain't no job for you. And it appears that only Charlie Weiss Jr., whom Lane Kiffin made offensive coordinator at Florida Atlantic without a resume to indicate such things when he had that job, he's the only one that got on the plane.
Right. It's like him, the GM, maybe the strength coach, 247's reporting, but it's certainly not the litany.
It's no assistants.
No, it's no real assistants.
Right. So Pete Golding, who's the defensive coordinator, has been made the head coach at Ole Miss. But as things stand right now, we have no report or indication that any of the other Ole Miss assistants are coming with Lane Kiffin. Now, there are two ways to look at this, right? One of them is they think Lane's a clown, which is on the board, but that's not in totality. They knew you ain't just go find out. You didn't just find out that Lane's a clown, right? Like you knew this already.
He's been there for 6 years.
Yeah, but also he's been Lane Kiffin for as long as we've known who Lane Kiffin was, right? His entire existence is marked by clown behavior. I forgot about
one exit, the Alabama one.
Oh, yeah, when Nick Saban sent him home the week of the championship game because he had another job that he was a little bit too focused on. But the next part of this that nobody's talking about, and I don't want to say nobody's talking about it because I'm not that brilliant. Somebody maybe has brought this up. But I am fascinated by the idea that never have assistant coaches ever had more leverage than the Ole Miss assistants had as of right now. Because here's the thing. They're making the argument this is the best Ole Miss football team of all time. That is totally on the board. They are going to go into the playoff. I think we all agree that that is the case. But if all of their coaches leave, they are really in shaky ground with the committee about what they do with them in terms of seeding and if they actually get to go or whatever it is, because that would make them a much different team if they had a zombie coaching staff out there, right? Now, I also imagine that coaching staff wants to coach in this playoff. Now, we'll talk to Spencer on Tuesday about the playoff in general, because you guys asked for this nonsense, and this is part of what we get, in the story of this. But anyway, Ole Miss needs to do whatever it can to keep this team together, if for no other reason than they want to spike Kiffin. And these players, it sounds like, want to spike Kiffin, okay? So when Lane is like, you guys coming with me, those assistants know that Ole Miss knows that Lane wants them to go, okay? Pete Golding, who was a bit of a laughingstock as the defensive coordinator at Alabama, he's the head coach now. And
not the interim, the permanent head coach.
Right, he got they are not doing a search,
right?
Okay, Pete Golding is the head coach, and I had known him by name. I saw a picture of him, and I'm like, there's no way that man is a head coach. Now, granted, that picture was not the greatest necessarily.
Right, not with that haircut, and not with
that beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
does not present discipline. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, but he had all the leverage in the world, right? Make me the head coach. I can keep this whole thing together, but you got to do this right now. And so somebody that I ain't heard nobody talk about, we want to hire Pete Golding. Now, he's an Ole Miss alum. That sort of thing also helps at a time like this where you feel that you've been betrayed by an interloper. But he's there. All those offensive assistants, they could name their price just because they need those people on the staff right now. And I imagine it is not difficult at all to find the money to do whatever it takes, because Lane Kiffin walked to that plane at the airport in Oxford and he was surrounded by middle fingers, Caucasian middle fingers at every turn. Let me tell you something, brother. If it was me, and when I say me, I mean specifically me and all the characteristics of me, and I was in Mississippi and I saw angry white men like that, I would have been terrified. I would have run on the plane. It was relieving to see that this happens to guys like Lane Kiffin also. That's how mad they looked at him. They were furious with him. And it's all because he tried to burn the place down on the way out. And that was so wildly unnecessary, right? Everybody understands you can't do this job anymore. I've seen people make the argument or have this discussion about what was going on with ESPN and the belief that like CAA set out talking points basically to all of their clients about why Lane Kiffin should have been allowed to coach in the national championship. I mean, keep coaching Ole Miss through the playoff. I want to make a couple of points here. And I'm not saying that this doesn't happen, right? Maybe CAA sends out paperwork, sends out talking points every morning, right? I've been sending CAA percentages of my money now for over a decade, I want to say. I'm just saying I never got any of those talking points. Now, maybe that says more about me and my standing within this agency than it says about anything else. But I'm just here to let you know, like I've been rep by another agency that would never give me talking points, but would be like, hey, if you want, we got some information on something if you want. Right? These kinds of things do happen. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm just saying maybe I need to talk to CAA and find out where I really stand, in the hierarchy here. I've been right here, baby. Or maybe they just know I'm too gangster for that shit. I don't have any idea. I don't know. I don't know. But I do know it was crazy that so many reasonable people were actually trying to make the argument that he should be able to work for two teams in the same conference in states that border each other. That was absurd.
What do you make of the argument Nick Saban was pushing, essentially that the schedule is to blame for this situation and not Lane Kiffin? Like, essentially because of the transfer portal and the way that the playoff is scheduled, that situations like this are going to happen due to the calendar more so than anything else.
No, he's right. But here's where I push back on the idea that it's the schedule is at fault, right?
Right.
The schedule puts Lane Kiffin in a bind in this. The schedule makes Lane Kiffin have to choose. But the bottom line was he had to choose. And rather than choose, he kicked the can as far down as he possibly could. And then he made it. He handled a bad situation terribly. It's unfortunate for you, Lane. And this is the part that makes it unfortunate for everybody. And this is the truth. What makes it tricky is that to be good enough to get a job like LSU, chances are you're coaching a team that's going to be going to the playoff. You know what I mean? Like, or
at least in the mix in the final week.
Exactly. Right? Like that's how that's going to go. And that makes that grown man have to make a decision. But the truth is, he knew he wanted to go to LSU. And my question for him is this: if the LSU job is so good, right, then why do you care that much about this team? And don't tell me because you care about the kids. Like, you're just never going to get me to believe. I don't think the kids feel that cared about either in the course of this. You had a chance to coach in the playoff, and you wanted to do promotion for LSU by coaching in the playoff. That is what I believe. A big part of why I believe that is I assume the worst about this man. No matter what the circumstances are, I assume the worst, except when somebody call him a hoe and he go check him for it, right? You have, okay, Lane, relatable content. But he made it like this. He's not the first person to wind up in a similar situation, and very often those people have to go on. Or you had this option. You could have stayed at Ole Miss. And what I'm curious about, because Marty Smith, bless his heart, who got sent down there to Oxford, Mississippi, trying to get some time with Lane and just look miserable on TV.
He looked like he was on the Ed Werder beat of Green Bay. the Brett Favre retirement
Yes,
or not.
yes.
You know,
Like I have to keep doing this, and I like Marty. Marty did not want to keep. Finally, Marty got him at the airport, and Marty asked him all the right questions too. Like if you look at it, it's about a 6-minute interview on the tarmac, and I thought Marty asked all the important questions, and he asked them directly. And one question he asked was, "What is it about the LSU job that makes it one that you would leave Ole Miss for?" And he said he didn't want to get into that. And no, I want you to answer that for me because what I don't understand, first of all. And Ryan, we talked about this already. You guys are chaos. Like, was it a month ago we were just talking about what a ridiculous place LSU had become with the governor having these press conferences and everything else? Well, we're not going to offer no contract like them other contracts, and it sure sounds like you did.
right?
Right? An athletic director that you seemed to name because you needed to hurry up and name an athletic director. Like, this all seemed. If Ole Miss was going to pay him roughly the same amount of money, right? And you clearly have put together a roster that's better than LSU's is this year, right? So why are you going through all of this to leave? Like, do you believe that what you've done at Ole Miss is fool's gold? That's the question I want to know. Like deep down inside, does Lane Kiffin really believe that Ole Miss, that these teams that he's built there, what he talks about is the greatest run in school history, anything else, do you actually believe these teams are good? And I don't think he actually believes that. And by the way, show me the big wins. If I'm not mistaken, I went through and looked at this in this run. This year's game against Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's okay. And I think either.
I mean, I just watched Oklahoma. Let's call them limited offensively.
Yeah, but I mean, that's since Mateer has gotten back from being hurt. I think that's what it is. And I can't remember if Mateer even played in that game. But like they won it on the road. But you go look through the Lane Kiffin run, the big wins aren't really there. They get a lot of wins and they win the games that they're supposed to. But because of the nature of what these schedules are, he's not like he's out here getting these big, gigantic, titanic wins over people. Like not even a win that's in line with what Vanderbilt did on Saturday to Tennessee, where they ran on them for over 300 yards. And the reason that I bring up this idea that the idea that we are in an age and time where Vanderbilt can run for 300 yards on Tennessee at Neyland takes me back to the question, why exactly are you doing all of this if Ole Miss was going to give you the money? Is LSU, which I had believed at points to be the best job in the country, right now, is it a better job than the job you have right now? Is everything that you're going through and the damage that you're doing to your professional reputation and going into this job that is going to be chaos, was this all worth it for you to make a fool of yourself to go to a place that, as it stands right now, does not have a football team as good as the football team that you are currently coaching? Why are you doing that? I just want to know the answer for why it is that you're doing this. Florida seemed like a much better cultural fit for Lane. He is exactly what it is that they are looking for. He is the spiritual successor to Steve Spurrier. He's the guy that they want, right? Here's the other thing that could have happened for you. Ryan, I want you to tell me what you think about this because I haven't workshopped this with you. Okay. The tricky thing about LSU is they have proof of concept that you can win a national championship there with a cartoon character because they've done it twice. All right.
This is two cartoon characters.
Yes. Actually, they've actually done it with 3. It's just that Saban is a different cartoon.
Right? Especially Saban then, because people forget that Saban used to be more intense.
Yes, he was.
Before he started graying, like he looked more like Will Muschamp out there than friendly Grandpa Saban.
And by the way, the Saban years are up, down. Like it's down, up, down. There are only 2 like really, really good seasons there.
Yes, and they had an incredible run of success after he left with his recruits.
Yes.
That 05 to 07 LSU run is probably the best run in the school's history.
It is. But with his recruits in 04, with Nick Saban there, I want to say they went 9-4 or something like that. But either way, they've seen a lot of people win a championship there. They understand that anybody, they feel like it's reasonable to feel like anybody can win a national championship here. And that's why it's kind of weird that Lane Kiffin feels like Les Miles needs to win a national championship there. Ed Orgeron needs to win a national championship there. If Lane Kiffin is what you people tell me that he is, then you should be able to do this at Ole Miss, right? Because think about it this way. Ohio State believes that it's not about the coach there. It's just about the machine that they have. Okay. Small problem. You know what every coach that Ohio State has won a national championship with has in common? They're all Hall of Fame caliber coaches. They've all, how about this? They've all, except for Woody Hayes, Paul Brown won a national championship at Ohio State and then won NFL championship. Okay. Woody Hayes won, I want to say 5 national championships or something like that there. Um, Jim Tressel has won a one double A, multiple one double A championships, and then won the national championship at Ohio. Urban Meyer at Ohio State. Urban Meyer won 2 national championships at Florida and an undefeated season at Utah, and then won his national championship at Ohio State. Ryan Day is the only one that's really kind of in line with it's the machine that does it. John Cooper did not win a national championship there. John Cooper won 10 games at Arizona State, and I want to say at Tulsa. Earl Bruce did not win a national championship there. So clearly, not everybody can win a national championship at Ohio State. Ed Ogeron won a national championship at LSU. I'm just telling you, they're not going to love you like that there. And you're also not really their kind of guy, and your brand of smarm is not going to work with those people. Ole Miss, you are right. You have the best run of success that Ole Miss has ever had. Even if I can't find the big wins there, you've won major bowl games at Ole Miss. You consistently won double-digit games at Ole Miss. You've shown the ability to build a team better than LSU. What this tells me is that every day of your life at Ole Miss, you've been scared of LSU, right? Like you don't believe. Is it that you don't believe anybody can do it at Ole Miss, or you just don't believe that you can do it at Ole Miss? Because you've kind of given proof of concept that you could come pretty close to doing it there. You would probably be better off staying there instead of coming into a place where they're not going to respect, they're not really going to love you like that. And I have to go back to the fact that it's a crazy house right now. Like, you're right. We were up here talking about who would ever want to take this job with all the chaos that LSU provided. And Lane Kiffin was like, I love a crazy girl.
Right.
Nothing gets me off like that. What?
And it really is amazing. But the thing that's interesting about LSU is that fan base believes they have left multiple national championships on the table because of their lack of modern college football offense. And the 1 year they had a decent offensive mind in that building, they put up the greatest offensive season in the history of college football.
Yes.
So they're going. That's the model they're going to look for Lane Kiffin, and I'll be interested to see how that works. Keep in mind, he has to go play at Oxford next year. Ole Miss is their permanent opponent.
He has to go play at Tennessee too.
Yes, and you start off the year playing Clemson in a revenge year.
Just asking a question: Do they still make things that use D-cell batteries? And I'm asking that question because when somebody pulls up on game day in Oxford and it's like, yo, let me get some of them D-cell batteries. Stop and ask yourself, why would these people need D-cell batteries? I don't know the last time.
They might have to play that game in an empty stadium like it's a soccer match in Italy when they get too racist.
Yeah. But see, this is the thing, though, man. I love a good villain. We have, and he loves being a villain. But look, I ain't gonna say nothing about all the stuff he's saying about his daddy. I don't know nothing about them and they get down or anything else. But I do know this. I've been praying about this, and I let God tell me to go take this job. I find that to be unconvincing. And what that sounds like to me is somebody who started coaching in the SEC, who is not native to the space, who is like, you know what? You just need to get down here and talk about God a lot. Yeah, that's what they love. That's what it is. You think, hey, Ryan, I don't know nothing about your background. I don't know your biblical knowledge, but is there a story in the Bible that sounds anything like Lane Kiffin for the last 2 weeks?
I don't believe the Bible says take your $90 million and run.
Take your $90 million and run, or extort thee, extort thee all the way out the door. I don't know where these things are. I don't, but I mean, He's now the story of college football.
He's
next year.
he's the main character going forward.
But what he is, and I'll give him, I don't know if credit is the right word, but there aren't that many interesting coaches left, right? And he's one. I want to say this on the way out because I've just said this thing. Maybe you stay at Ole Miss. And look, I talked about this with Joel. Like, we got to be honest about maybe the problem with this job is that that legacy of Confederate
Doesn't
stuff,
help.
right? Like I would love for him to come out and say it. I mean, other coaches basically said it out loud. Tommy Tuberville left because of it. David Cutcliffe certainly has intimated it at points of the difficulty it comes with. Maybe this is it. But look around the rest of that conference. Clark Lee at Vanderbilt was like, nah, I'll take the money and I'm going to stay here. Eli Drinkovitz at Mizzou. He was like, you know what? You guys got to check. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stay here. The game plan seems to be for these guys to get this money and stick around where they are. The question is going to come down to these schools recognize that these crazy buyouts, if they're still doing them, what it means is we're in this together, man. Right? Like you're going to have to make the decision.
And the same people who will pay $50 million to run you off will pay $50 more million to keep if they think you're the guy.
Yes, but I think everybody needs to understand, though, that this is going to be more like the pros. And what that means is you're going to have some more ups and downs in the ways that these goes. And every now and then you're going to have a not great season. And maybe it might be two of those not great seasons for whatever reason. But the buyouts are supposed to make you ride through it. It's not supposed to make you say, damn, we got to go past the hat again. Like, it's supposed to change the way that you make these decisions. And it hasn't changed the way the decisions are made. But the SEC, it seems to be at the very least that a lot of these people have decided we're going to go for stability. I'll just throw it out here, by the way. Shout out to you, Florida. They hired John Summerall, who's the coach at Tulane, who might be a better coach than Lane Kiffin. And Lane Kiffin with his no conference championships, no division championships, literally an empty trophy case. You know who else might be better coach than Lane Kiffin? The guy LSU just fired. All right, so Thanksgiving and Black Friday. My Thanksgiving football viewing was not great. Not great. I haven't talked to my buddy Nick, but I imagine his Thanksgiving football viewing was also not great. I haven't talked to any of my Ravens fans, but I imagine their Thanksgiving football viewing was terrible.
Have you talked to any of your friends who root for the Eagles?
Oh, goodness gracious. I have not, because I'm afraid. I don't think they'll have any sense of humor about what happened with them. And I just imagine this is going to be the playoffs where basically me and Nick just going to be watching the playoffs together, hating. just hating on everything that's on the screen. It don't look like the Lions are going to the playoffs, though I think they still have a chance. It don't look like the Chiefs are going to the playoffs, though I'd say they still have a chance. The Ravens, Pittsburgh, I think, is still going to be atop that division even after that loss to Buffalo. But either way, they're right there with each other, but they are cheeks. Like, I don't know why the Ravens are cheeks. Lamar Jackson looks like cheeks. They are cheeks. And then the Eagles continuing the strangest 4-year run of highly successful football that has anybody had less fun being pretty good than them.
It's so wild because we've been doing this for, it feels like 8 weeks now.
Yes.
And it does not get better. And they never lean into anything that works. And it's like watching a television show where you feel like like different writers worked on different episodes and nothing connects.
Yes.
Like, it's like, did you practice? They look like they don't practice.
But hold on. There's another level of this in terms of our world, right? Does any team have more former players who get paid to talk about their team than the Eagles?
Maybe the Cowboys.
No. But see, the Cowboys have all those people who get paid to talk about the NFL. Right? Like Troy Totoro. If you go on Twitter right now, I can get you a clip of Hugh Douglas. I can get you a clip of Ike Reese. I can get you a clip of Seth Joyner. I can get you a clip of Nick Foles. It's just and by the way, they're all really like straightforward and pretty good, but no, former Eagles are not pulling no punches because they know the people don't want that. They know they know. It also implies a begrudging respect for the ways that the people get down. But everywhere I've just never seen a team where it feels like I can get more actually credible. And like Nick Foles stuff on the Eagles is always really interesting when I wind up coming across some sort of clip of what he's talking about. But they are like, they were just getting booed at the crib on a holiday weekend, just mercilessly. And everybody showed up ready to do it. I think that's the thing that sticks out about it to me. Everybody showed up like, hey man, if they don't get this shit going, right? Like, it's always bad news. Like that's the point where y'all got to break up, right? Where you're like, just wait, just ooh, and then it happens, and then you're ready, and then you go. That's where they are. That's where they stand. But they're going to make the playoffs. That's the best part. These other teams we're talking about, hey, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. That could go either way. The Eagles, you know what the Eagles feel like? The Eagles feel like one of those teams that needs to just skip the NIT. Right?
Yeah, they need to self-impose a bowl ban.
Yeah. Like, look, man, we've had enough, right? Like back in the day when they would try to send Notre Dame to something like the Independence Bowl. They're like, man, we had Notre fucking Dame. We ain't going to Shreveport.
We might be in South Bend, but we have more class than going to Shreveport, Louisiana.
Yeah. We're not doing that. But the other thing that happened to them, and you and I have talked about this, there is nothing that a football team that could do that is worse for the fans to watch than let somebody run for 280 yards on you.
Right.
Because Caleb Williams did not play well.
No.
They just ate them up. I've never heard of, what was that boy's name? Kyle?
Yeah, nice try. No, thank you.
Never heard of him. Oh, hold on, though. He went to Rutgers. Let me find out what hard scrabble town he's from. Did you see that clip of that dude for the Cowboys, the gutter, the other day?
Who, the Rudy out there.
Yeah, he wasn't Rudy. It was like, no, he's can't go back all-star. I looked up.
Camden, New Jersey.
Camden, New Jersey. I looked it up. I was like, Camden, Patterson, East Orange, any of it suffice. This guy is from Roseland, which seems to be a little bit nicer than what I'm trying to say with what I'm talking about here. I have no idea what this NFL season is going to be, and I can't decide if I think that's a good thing or not.
Right. Like we were talking about this before the show. Every week feels more about who lost than who won. Like
yes.
You can say that about the Chiefs. You can say that about the Eagles. You can say that about the Lions. You can certainly say that about the Steelers, who had to throw out Mason Rudolph today.
They did. But hold on. I just watched the Rams lost to the Panthers, and Matthew Stafford. There's going to be regression to the mean on this interception thing. Generally speaking, right? That's typically how it goes. Remember when Nick Foles had that 27-2 year?
Right. Was that the first Chip Kelly? One of the first.
That was the first Chip Kelly. That was the first Chip Kelly year. But yeah, those things can dial back, is what I'm saying, and that's probably going to happen there. But the Panthers might go to the playoffs, and the Bears are now the number 1 seed, if I'm not mistaken.
They are
in the NFC because the Rams lost to the Panthers. I don't like. And we know we can't believe in the Seahawks, man. Like, I understand y'all want the best for him, but we can't believe in that. What am I supposed to believe in the AFC? Right? Do you see any? There is not the Colts, man. Daniel Jones out there on a broken. I saw it was an injured fibula, and I could be wrong, but I feel like the only injury that you could do to that is a break, right?
Yeah, and I mean. We saw the Chargers out there. They got to play the Raiders, but then Justin Herbert goes and breaks his hand today.
He does.
Yeah.
And what that affects, and if you were watching that game with Aaron Rodgers on Sunday, it really messes up the running game. Because, you throw with the right, but you got to hand people the ball. You can't really be going under center like that.
Yeah, you got to stick that hand on that big boy's butt. Like, it's just it's tough.
Yeah, it's a lot going on. But yeah, this was a week about losers. And at least one thing we got that's great for business, Ryan. The Cowboys, highly relevant. And I have to say,
and fun to watch.
Yeah. Hey, Brian Schottenheimer, mediocre offensive coordinator, appears to be a good head coach.
Well, I mean, here's the other thing. He coaches very clearly like someone who grew up playing Madden. Because he's like, hey, you know what works? George Pickens catching slants. I'm going to do that 12 times a game.
Here's the thing, man. What recollection do you have of his father?
That is right. I understand that he's a historical choker, but I never experienced it.
So it's a shame that Marty is defined by the choking, because here's the thing about Marty Schottenheimer. He has 2 losing seasons ever.
Yeah, great coach.
He was an excellent coach, but he was a ground and pound guy if a guy ever was about to ground and pound. And as an offensive coordinator, his son, a little bit too much about the ground and pound. As the head coach, he's passing the ball to Will.
And if you look at some of those nerd stats, like George Pickens might be the best receiver in the NFL this year.
I just can't wait to see what that turns into next year.
Correct.
Once the contract is signed. Good luck.
Yeah. All right, 2 quick stories from the weekend. Shedeur Mania watch. Shedeur Sanders, they and the Browns lost to the 49ers 26-8. He had 149 yards, 16 for 25, 1 touchdown. But what'd you make of his performance today?
I watched most of that game. I feel like there was nothing to discuss.
Right.
It was just if this was somebody that didn't have the profile, there would be literally nothing to discuss. He's going to start for the rest of the year, I do believe. So I think we're at a point where we don't have to have a daily referendum on what he does. But yeah, that was okay. I didn't think he looked bad necessarily, but man, he holds the ball for a long time, man. A long time. And that is they're drafting a quarterback. They're saying all the right things right now about, hey, evaluation, because why not, right? You should say those things. It costs you nothing. They're drafting a quarterback.
They're drafting a quarterback, and they're probably firing the coach.
Yes.
Stefanski looks miserable.
Yeah, and we keep seeing this, man. If you're gonna make the quarterback change like that, you might as well change the coach. It's gonna happen anyway.
Right. There's no sense in and if there's one thing that Jimmy Haslam is known for, it's great decisions when it comes to coaches and quarterbacks.
That guy.
All right. We just kind of glossed over this earlier, but a lot of moves in the college football carousel this week. Florida hired John Summerall from Tulane. Auburn brought in a new coach. Arkansas brought in a new coach. There's a lot of rumors of what's going on in Penn State. But what was the most surprising thing that happened today on the coaching carousel?
Well, it sounded like there was a possibility that Auburn was going to hire DJ Durkin. And if they had, I was prepared to come on here and act a royal fool. This was the guy that oversaw Jordan McNair's death at Maryland. It is amazing to me that people keep hiring guys that get into trouble for ill treatment of players, and they just keep getting jobs. It is the most stunning and frustrating thing about this game.
And it's not even like they're sent off in the wilderness the way Art Briles has been.
Right.
DJ Durkin was a defensive coordinator, 3 or 4 years later?
Yes. And it was Muschamp, I think, was the guy that brought him back into the fold to do that. And it's crazy to me that he even has this job. But Auburn, always something crazy going on there with Auburn, boy. And the interim finding a way, and he was coaching that game like he thought he could get the job. Like if Durkin would have won that game against Alabama, buddy, it would have been really, really, really tough for them to not do it.
We were real close to getting DJ Durkin, Auburn head football coach, and Bobby Petrino, Arkansas head football coach.
Oh, wow. Arkansas, who did they hire?
They hired the guy from Memphis.
Because I thought Petrino was going to get that job. It sounded like one booster in particular wanted Bobby to have that job, and that was the direction that they were going to go in, and I was hoping for it. I thought that would have been a great time. The thing to watch for is we're also starting to get whispers that sound like Lincoln Riley trying to find his way out of USC. But I think he wants to try to get out to get a job of similar caliber of USC. Oh, no, buddy. Nobody. If you want to leave USC, you're gonna have to take a step down.
Or at least you're get willing to go call in some games for a few years.
Yes. And if he leaves USC, Kalen DeBoer is going to be left with a decision to make. You call him. Anybody that's got an opening, you call the Alabama coach every time because it just might be the day that they don't feel like that shit.
There were all these whispers that the guys up in Penn State were calling about him too.
Hey man,
you have to make that call.
You can catch him on the right day. You catch him at the right time. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, he is. I can only imagine how many times he considered quitting that job.
I can only imagine, like you said, we were mentioning this off the top of the show, losing that Iron Bowl.
He looked so relieved, man. There was a couple of moments you could just see it, just be like, oh, okay, we're good. We're good. And they got the SEC championship this week that they probably aren't going to win.
All right, Bo, voicemail lines are open. We got a couple of great ones after the holiday break. Let's take a listen.
Hey, Bomani, Jonathan calling in, wishing you, thanking you, celebrating you for hitting 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. With that being said, would you mind going back through some of your greatest hits for some of the newer callers and listeners? I'm specifically talking about Mike Tirico claiming that peninsula in Europe and your beef with Lawrence Fishburne. Thanks for the show. Enjoy everything that you do. Peace.
Man, it's been a long time since I've had the opportunity to introduce the Mike Tirico situation to somebody. I think I'm gonna do that with my parents when I get home for Christmas this year. My mama's listening to this. Don't let me forget to tell you the Mike Tirico story, mama, because that's
That's a Christmas gift to yourself, if I've ever heard one.
I told you about that time I had to give Mike Tirico a sports Emmy.
No, you did not.
So after the first season of Game Theory, HBO had worked it out, and I was a presenter at the Sports Emmys. And I forget what the Sports Emmy was for. And the winner was Mike Tirico, and I shook his hand and I gave him the trophy. And it definitely gave me the vibe that while he may not be a regular listener of this show, I believe that he was made familiar with some of the content, some of the running gags, shall we say? I just can't. It's for those of you who don't know, Mike Tirico apparently did not find out he was black until well into the 21st century. He's a character in a Farrelly Brothers movie. I don't understand. He Italian. I mean, that's not saying he's not.
This is the part where I play the next voicemail.
Hey, Bomani, this is Tom calling from way up north in Canada. Recently, and I really like the Replacements, just had another remaster come out of one of their great albums. I say that to say, I'm wondering, is there a record that you really like that you think was rescued by a remaster the way the Replacements, Let It Be, and Tim was? Anyway, Bomani, shout out you, shout out the whole Morning Jones family, shout out DJ Mike Hitman, great to hear him back on the show again, shout out Shannon, shout out everyone else I'm forgetting, Corey, my Canadian brother. Take care, Bo. Have a good one.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. And so, rescued by a remaster is interesting. I don't know if rescue is necessarily the right way to put it, but the first digital mixes of the Beatles records were not very good, and the remasters got better over time. What often happens is the records that typically need remasters are because however it was done for analog just did not translate over. There was a great remaster of Sly and the Family Stones. There's a Riot Going On that came out about 20 something years ago that helped that. But if you just get a final version of Riot, you're good. It was a tough listen digitally, but it was a great listen on vinyl. And so that often happens. These Prince remasters have been interesting because Prince, in many cases, just didn't have time to worry about how it sounded. He was like, but it's the heat. All it has to be is the heat. So like this Around the World in a Day remaster is good. Parade is the one that needs a remaster more than anything else. And on a different day, we could talk about how I don't want to talk about Parade right now. But anyway, yeah. The Prince, a lot of the Prince catalog and remasters are helpful. I will just say it like that.
All right, here's our last one.
Hey, Bo. It's Zach from Dallas. I'm out here on the porch, man. Just, I'm in Dallas. You get the traffic. But this got me thinking, dog. When was the first time you took a walk with your cousin on Thanksgiving? Like, what was your first walk like? Like, I remember mine. It was pretty dope. I actually thought we was walking. It just kind of went from there. It was pretty cool, but yeah, Tell me about that first time, bro.
I don't have no like recollection necessarily that much. It's not necessarily so much a walk for us as sometimes it's just a go to the garage and ain't nobody really paying attention, right? Or just all right, like now. Also, yeah. Like, and also it's a little different in my house. We go walk with your pops. That when one of the names on the deed is making the move with you, rules are a little different. What can I say? But hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this here 4 times a week. Ryan Brumley handled everything behind the scenes. Thank you, sir. Hit the voicemail line 323-596-7767. Remember, follow The Right Time. Subscribe, like, rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. We'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.